Let's get started with our first news. Belal Muhammad fires back at Della Maddalena ahead of their fight in May. The trash talk is heating up and fans are loving it. This week, JDM took to social media to make a bold statement, writing, "Stoked the UFC have put their trust in me to save the division. This will be done in one, no doubt." His confidence was through the roof, but Belal Muhammad was not impressed. In fact, he fired back with a post of his own, taking a shot at JDM over allegations that he was trying to crowdfund tickets to get his team to Montreal for UFC 315 through a meet and greet. Belal wrote, "Just when I was going to donate to your fundraiser so your coaches can come enjoy Spirit Airlines." A brutal response from the welterweight contender. But was JDM really trying to raise money for his corner? After speaking with JDM's management team, MMA Fighting's Damon Martin provided an important update on the reports. He revealed that the entire thing was actually a miscommunication. JDM was not trying to raise funds for his team to get to UFC 315. According to Martin, Jack was making a paid appearance and there was a mix-up with the venue, which made the post about fundraising without Jack's permission or knowledge. Martin later followed up, adding, "Well, the event is canceled, so it's no longer happening." So what really happened? According to Jack's team, the venue was the one paying for JDM's appearance, and they were responsible for the post about fundraising. If people want to know where the money was going, they should ask the venue, not JDM. His management team made one thing very clear: the whole fundraising thing wasn't him at all. Despite this clarification, not everyone was convinced. MMA analyst John Nash raised a valid point, questioning, if this was really a miscommunication, why did the venue include the UFC's corner policy in their post? That's pretty specific information for a venue paying for an appearance to just come up with on their own. It's an interesting question, and one that many fans are still asking. With the meet and greet now canceled, it seems like JDM has cleared his name. But will this controversy affect his mindset heading into the fight? Will Belal Muhammad keep applying the pressure on social media? This rivalry is only getting more intense, and with the fight just around the corner, expect the trash talk to continue. Now, let's move on to the next news. Justin Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev should be next. The lightweight title picture is absolute chaos right now. With multiple contenders vying for a shot at the belt, the UFC has some tough decisions to make. Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, and Arman Tsarukyan have all been calling out Islam Makhachev, hoping to secure their opportunity to become the new lightweight champion. But there's a big question mark hanging over the division. Will Islam Makhachev even stay at lightweight? There have been rumors that the champ is looking to move up and challenge for the welterweight title. If that happens, the entire division could be left scrambling for answers. While fans and analysts have been debating who deserves the next shot, Michael Bisping has a different take. According to the former middleweight champion and UFC commentator, Justin Gaethje, not Tsarukyan, Oliveira, or even Topuria, should be next in line for Islam Makhachev. This week, during a video for his YouTube channel, Bisping laid out his argument for Gaethje getting the next crack at the belt. He explained, "Justin Gaethje hasn't fought Islam Makhachev, so that would be a fresh title fight. He isn't getting any younger either. I think we'd all sign off on Justin Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev." For Bisping, Gaethje isn't just another contender. He's a fan favorite fighter who has delivered some of the most legendary wars in UFC history. Gaethje has fought for the title twice before, coming up short against Khabib Nurmagomedov and Charles Oliveira, but Bisping believes this could be his moment to finally complete his journey and win the UFC lightweight championship. Justin gets to go in there, right the wrongs from the Khabib fight, and finish his career as the UFC lightweight champion. Bisping's point is clear. Gaethje has paid his dues, put on countless incredible fights, and always entertained the fans. If anyone deserves one last shot at glory, it's him. Another key factor in this debate is the ongoing drama between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. With both fighters throwing shots at each other on social media, there's a chance that the UFC books them against one another instead of giving either of them a title shot. That scenario would leave the door wide open for the highlight Justin Gaethje to step in and challenge Makhachev for the belt. Will the UFC listen to Bisping's argument and give Gaethje the next title shot? Or will Islam Makhachev decide to move up and leave the lightweight belt behind? The lightweight division is heating up, and the next few months are going to be wild. Moving on, Tom should stop waiting for John Jones. Since winning and defending the interim UFC heavyweight title, Tom Aspinall has had one goal in mind: a title unification fight with John Jones. But despite his eagerness to fight the undisputed champion, the matchup remains in limbo. Reports suggest that Jones wants a 6-month training camp before stepping back into the octagon. That means even if the fight was finalized today, it wouldn't take place until October at the earliest. If that happens, Tom Aspinall will have been out of action for nearly a year and a half. That's a long time to sit on the sidelines, especially for a fighter in his prime. And according to Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, waiting that long is not a good idea. During an interview with Submission Radio, the former flyweight champion made his stance clear. Aspinall should stay active instead of waiting around for Jones. Johnson explained, "If I was Tom Aspinall, I'd be like, God, dude, I'm not waiting 6 months. Y'all need to get me another fight." Johnson believes that young fighters need to stay sharp by competing regularly. He expressed mixed feelings about Aspinall waiting so long, recognizing that fighting Jon Jones would be a career-defining opportunity. If Aspinall beats Jon Jones, it changes everything for him. But at the same time, Johnson warned about the dangers of inactivity. I think when you put a young athlete like that on ice, they don't get that ring time. They don't get that opportunity to go out there and just fight and make money. And that's a huge concern. Fighters only have a limited time to maximize their earnings and improve their skills. Sitting on the sidelines for over a year just to maybe get a fight with Jon Jones could backfire. What if Jones gets injured again? What if he decides to retire? If that happens, Aspinall could end up wasting valuable time instead of building his legacy. As for Aspinall himself, he recently said that his latest meeting with the UFC went well and that he's optimistic about the future. But with Jones asking for 6 months of preparation, the chances of a summer showdown are slim. So what should Aspinall do? Should he keep waiting and hope for the biggest fight of his career? Or should he take another fight, stay active, and keep proving that he's the best heavyweight in the world? One thing is for sure, the UFC's heavyweight division is at a standstill, and Tom Aspinall needs to make a decision soon. Next, Chael Sonnen's brutal take on Conor McGregor's return. The American gangster is never one to hold back, and this time he set his sights on Conor McGregor's highly anticipated return to the UFC. During a recent episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy, Chael Sonnen completely dismantled the idea that McGregor is serious about making a comeback, but he didn't stop there. Sonnen went even further, claiming that the former two-division champion is no longer capable of competing at the highest level. According to Sonnen, McGregor simply isn't motivated to fight anymore, and even if he was, the results wouldn't be pretty. In his words, there's not a single UFC fighter in Nevada that McGregor could beat. You gotta understand, what part of it would he come back for? We're told by him that he doesn't need the money. We can see that his time is occupied. A lot of fighters cling to the sport because they have nothing else to do. He's got a beating standing in front of him. There is not an athlete under contract with the UFC located in Southern Nevada that he can beat. That's a bold claim, but is Sonnen wrong? McGregor has only fought 4 times since 2018, losing 3 of those bouts. His last win came against Donald Cowboy Cerrone in 2020, a fight many believe was tailor-made for McGregor to shine. Since then, he's been inactive, dealing with injuries and focusing on his business ventures, movies, and social life. Sonnen believes that McGregor simply doesn't have the hunger anymore. The man who once fought 4 times in 12 months and took over the sport is now content with his fame, fortune, and lifestyle outside the octagon. There's an ass-whipping waiting for him. Apparently, life is good without it. He still makes headlines without it. He still gets put on our show without it. That last point is crucial. McGregor is still one of the biggest names in combat sports, even without fighting. Whether it's through social media, business ventures like Proper Number, 12 Whiskey, or his role in the upcoming Roadhouse movie remake, he remains a global superstar. So the question remains, is Conor McGregor really coming back, or is he just keeping his name in the headlines? If he does return, will he be anywhere near the same fighter he once was? Sonnen doesn't think so, and judging by McGregor's inactivity, he might be right. Said, the UFC wants Sean to be champ again so bad. Moving on, the MMA community is not happy with UFC 316 main event. On Tuesday, Dana White and the UFC officially announced the main and co-main events for UFC 316, which will take place in New Jersey this summer. However, instead of excitement, the announcement was met with disappointment and frustration from fans. Saturday, June 7th, UFC 316 is set to go down at the Prudential Center, and headlining the event will be a bantamweight title fight between Merab Dvalishvili and Sean O'Malley. The matchup sees the reigning champion, Merab Dvalishvili, defending his belt against the former champion and fan favorite Sean Sugar O'Malley. There's no denying that Merab has earned his spot at the top of the division. He is currently on an incredible 12-fight win streak and has defeated some of the biggest names at 135 pounds. On the other hand, O'Malley is always an exciting fighter to watch and remains the #1 contender. Given that their first fight ended in a dominant decision victory for Merab, this rematch is being marketed as an opportunity for O'Malley to reclaim his throne. But despite that, fans are still not happy. Many in the MMA community were expecting a much bigger announcement. Where is John Jones versus Tom Aspinall? That's the fight we wanted for UFC 316. That was the overwhelming sentiment from the fan base. Given that Tom Aspinall has been calling for a unification fight with Jones, many thought this was finally going to be the event where it happened. Instead, no news about the heavyweight division was given. Other fans were upset at the double standards when it comes to UFC matchmaking. How does O'Malley get an immediate rematch against Merab, but Ilia Topuria doesn't get a title shot at 155? For context, Ilia Topuria, the current featherweight champion, has been actively calling for a lightweight title shot against Islam Makhachev. However, the UFC has not confirmed any plans for Topuria to move up, yet O'Malley is immediately getting a second shot at Merab despite losing decisively in their first fight. Another common complaint was that the UFC is desperate to make O'Malley champion again. The UFC wants Sean to be champ so bad. This is another attempt to push him to the top. While the fight itself will undoubtedly be entertaining, the backlash is clear. Fans wanted something bigger for UFC 316. Now, all eyes are on the UFC to see if they'll make one more major fight announcement. Finally, Conor McGregor on Jessica Eye signing with BKFC. Former UFC flyweight contender Jessica Eye has officially made the move to Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, BKFC. At 38 years old, Eye is set to embark on a brand new journey in combat sports, and the announcement has already drawn reactions from big names in the fight game, including Conor McGregor. Eye last competed inside the UFC octagon in July 2022, where she suffered a unanimous decision loss. Following that defeat, she took a step back from competition, leaving fans wondering if she would return to MMA. Now, after nearly 2 years away from fighting, she is ready to step into the world of bare knuckle boxing. One person who believes in her BKFC potential is none other than Conor McGregor. The former two-division UFC champion shared his thoughts on Jessica Eye's move to BKFC, and he had nothing but praise for her current condition. Posting a photo of the two of them together, McGregor wrote, "She is in phenomenal physical condition, the best I've ever seen her." Coming from McGregor, that's a huge endorsement. The Irish superstar has always been vocal about fighters who stay disciplined and work hard, and in his eyes, Jessica Eye is looking stronger than ever heading into her BKFC debut. But how will Jessica Eye fare in BKFC? While she had a long and respectable MMA career, some fans are wondering whether bare knuckle boxing will suit her style. She was primarily known for her grappling and clinch work in the UFC, rather than her knockout power or striking ability. However, Eye has shown durability and toughness throughout her career, which could make her a strong competitor in the grueling world of BKFC. With no gloves, smaller ring space, and relentless pressure fighting, BKFC is a different beast compared to traditional MMA. But if Conor McGregor's confidence in Eye's condition is any indication, she might be entering this next phase of her career stronger than people expect. Fans will now be eagerly waiting for BKFC to announce who Jessica Eye's first opponent will be and when she will officially make her debut in the organization. Whatever happens, her move to bare knuckle fighting has already generated plenty of buzz. And lastly, UFC 317 main card leaked by accident. A major UFC 317 leak may have just been revealed, completely by accident. Flyweight contender Kai Kara France recently shared a video on Instagram where he casually mentioned that he is 12 weeks out from his next fight. While this might not seem like a big deal at first, fans quickly did the math and realized that his timeline perfectly matches up with UFC 317. That means there's a strong possibility that Kai Kara France could be competing on the UFC 317 main card. But here's where things get even more interesting. If this leak is true, is he fighting for the flyweight title? Right now, the UFC flyweight division is in a highly competitive state with top fighters jockeying for a title shot. Champion Alexandre Pantoja is expected to defend his belt later this year, and many believe that Kai Kara France could be the next in line. While the UFC has not officially announced the UFC 317 main card, fans are already speculating about what fights might be included. If Kai Kara France really is fighting at UFC 317, it could mean he's either fighting for the flyweight title or taking on another top contender in a high-stakes matchup. The UFC has had several accidental leaks in the past, with fighters or their teams revealing information before the promotion makes an official announcement. Sometimes these leaks turn out to be accurate, while other times they cause confusion among fans. So, is Kai Kara France versus Alexandre Pantoja happening at UFC 317? Or will we see a different flyweight showdown on the card? Only time will tell. That's all for today's MMA updates. What do you think about the potential UFC 317 fight card leak? Do you believe Kai Kara France will be fighting for the title, or is it just a coincidence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.